Hi, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk. This is the show that introduces you to members of the community so that you get to know who your friends and neighbors are, who are the people that are living around you on the east end of Long Island, which is always interesting, I think. Lots of interesting people that live out here on the east end. My guest today is Deana Tikkanen. That's her maiden name is King, correct? Okay. Deana grew up in Springs. And she grew up as a member of the King family in Springs, who've been there for a long time. And we're going to learn all about that and growing up in Springs and what life was like growing up in Springs. And we start with photos because I ask all my guests to send me photos that sort of tell the story of their lives. And through the photos, hopefully you can tell us the story of where you came from and what you're all about. And so I haven't talked to you ahead of time. I really don't know much about these photos, very much at all. But I'm going to show the photos and then, I'll ask you some questions. I think I know what this is. I think this looks like a birth announcement from the 50s or 40s, right?
From the 40s, from
Yes.
World War II.
Uh-huh.
And the reason that is interesting is my mother sent it to her friends, and that one wound up in Italy with one of my parents' close friends.
Oh, no kidding.
And he put it in his wallet, and
Aw.
he gave it back to me when I turned 50.
Oh, what a great story.
So-
That is such a great story. I mean, I did recognize what it was because it's not that dissimilar to the one that's in my baby book from, in the early 1950s. So that's the way they kind of were in those days, and I had a feeling that's what it was, an announcement of your birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And what a great story that he would hold it all that time.
Yeah, it was really special.
Well, what's the connection to Italy? Were they just friends
He
or
was
family?
in the Army during World War II.
Okay,
And it reached him in Italy
okay.
when he was fighting the
And
war.
was your dad in?
My dad was in the Coast Guard,
Okay, where in the Coast Guard?
New York City Harbor, and Stratford Shoals Lighthouse.
Did he grow up in East Hampton and Springs?
He grew up in East Hampton.
Okay, and whereabouts, not in the Springs area at that time?
He grew up on McGurk Street.
Okay, so in the village.
His grandparents had a house down in Springs.
Okay, and the Kings, your grandparents then, or his grandparents were in Springs already?
Right.
Okay, so the King family goes back for many generations in Springs.
I'm 11.
11th generation. Okay, so you're a real Bonnaker.
Yes.
Typical Bonnaker. I mean, I always tell people, they say that I'm a Bonnaker. I'm like, I'm really not a Bonnaker. If you really know what a Bonnaker is, I didn't grow up in Springs. You have to grow up in Springs to be a Bonnaker. It's kind of taken on a different meaning now.
It usually, or it always used to mean that if you lived around Accabonac Harbor,
Exactly.
or born around Accabonac Harbor.
Exactly. You had to grow up in Springs and be, someone who lived there. And
Right.
But now it's come to mean somewhere along the line, I think in the 50s, it became the name for the high school teams, the Bonnakers, and so.
Fire department.
Exactly, so now it's kind of
Yeah.
become the name for locals,
Right.
which it really isn't if you understand the real term of Bonnaker, that it's something else, so you are a true Bonnaker. Okay, this must be your folks. Is this
That's
your
my folks. Yep.
That's a great, great picture. Is that you that they're holding?
That's me. Yep.
And he's still got his Coast Guard uniform on. My father-in-law was in the Coast Guard, but he came from Wisconsin and was in Amagansett in the Coast Guard.
Oh.
So it's so funny that he was in the Coast Guard and ended up in somewhere else.
That's right.
But someone from Wisconsin ended up in Amagansett during World War II. So,
Yeah.
and he was still in the service in this
He
picture?
was in the service, yes.
And this would have been your mom
That's my mom.
and you.
My mom her maiden name was a Miller, so she was.
Oh, so she's a Miller, so you, both sides.
Very
Oh, my
much.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Millers go back
So,
11 generations too,
Right.
don't they? I mean, that's a very old family
yes, it is. Yeah.
on the East End. What brought them here? Who were their ancestors? How'd they come here?
They came through Connecticut
Mm-hmm.
and Southold, and
They all seem to come from that area.
Yes.
The north of us, and then come across the Sound, and Some of my ancestors did the same thing, came across the Sound and ended up in Southold and then moved on it
Moved
down,
out, yeah.
So that's kind of a familiar story for the local families. So they would have arrived in the late 1600s, early
Yes,
1700s, yeah. Wow, that's a great story. And what were they doing? Were they fishermen?
Fishermen, farmers, yeah.
Okay, that's,
Very self-sufficient, independent people, yeah,
yeah, they had to be.
yes.
It was not much out here then.
No.
But Accabonac seemed to be a great place for them to settle because of the water and
It was, yes.
that area. And it was, for so long, it was such a remote area. I mean, I grew up
It
in the
was.
village, so for me, going to Springs was like driving forever in the woods, right? Before
It
you
was,
got there.
yeah, it was the woods.
It was the
because
woods.
Clearwater Beach and Lionhead were not developed until the 60s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most of, I mean, even places like Woodbine Drive, all of those.
That wasn't there either.
None of that was
No.
there, and a lot of people don't understand that was all woods.
Well,
So if you were coming from the village, you were driving through the woods for 6 or 7 minutes,
right,
right, before you got to the Springs, which was
exactly.
around, Ashua Hall, which was where the early settlement was, and that's where the historic buildings are. So a lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
When you say, oh, it was just up in the woods, in the middle of the woods, there was nothing there. Like Northwest Woods, the same thing,
Right.
there was nothing but woods when we were
Nothing
kids.
but woods.
No houses, nothing.
Actually, a lot of the village people would come down to Springs or into Northwest Woods and cut
Yes.
trees for their firewood.
Right, a lot of them had plots or lots that were theirs just to cut.
Exactly.
They owned property just so that they could go and
And
collect.
get wood.
Yes, and then they would go to the beaches and collect seaweed for,
For insulation and
all of
animal
that,
feed.
yeah.
And, yeah.
They definitely were self-sufficient.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about this picture. This is such a cute photo.
That's actually a drawing by Betsy Cameron, but it's the little bridge that goes across Pussy's Pond and the Accabonac Outlet. And when I was growing up, that's the way we played on the bridge.
That's
Behind
really-
the bridge,
It's
underneath it.
so cute. So where did the name Pussy's Pond come from?
There were tales that people used to drown their unwanted
Oh,
kittens in it.
oh, you're kidding. That's so
And would be
sad.
called Pussy's Pond. And then Priscilla Parsons lived in the house, which is now the Springs Library.
Uh-huh.
And they nicknamed her Pussy, Pussy or whatever, and that's another story I've heard.
So you're not sure which is right, the right, it could be
Whatever
her
old
or,
wives' tale you want to listen
Right.
to. Yeah.
well, I prefer that one because I hate to think about them throwing their kittens in there, but I mean, I know things like that happen, but that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
So when you were,
Days before ARF.
yes, a long time before ARF. So when you were growing up here in Springs, you were living in Springs at this point, right? What was your dad doing?
My dad has always had his own business. He
Mhm.
had, he's the canvas business. We did boat canvas and awnings, and he also did upholstery. And it was very seasonal back then.
Mhm.
And so he supplemented it with working at the election polls. He sold fire equipment. He just whatever needed to do to provide for his family, he filled in.
I remember my dad said he worked at the election polls too to make extra money on the.
It became Christmas money because the
Exactly,
money didn't come in until
yeah.
just before Christmas.
Now, was his business, I mean, I know the business still exists.
Right.
Was it in Springs at that time, or did
It
he
was
have
in
it up in
Springs,
the,
yep.
okay, so he didn't come up into the village to do business. He lived in Springs and worked in Springs.
Worked in Springs. His customers were in the village, all the way to Southampton and Montauk.
Okay. Huh. And your mom?
My mom did the secretarial part of the business and
Okay.
the bookkeeping, and raised the kids.
Raised the family. How many kids?
There were 3 of us,
Okay, girls, boys,
2 brothers.
2 brothers, lucky you. I hope they took good care of you.
I was the oldest, so.
Oh, that was no help, okay. Okay, let's see what this picture is. This is, oh, I love this picture. I don't know what it is, but
That's a picture, actually, of Bill Tikkanen.
yes,
He used to ride past our house. I grew up on the corner of School Street and Old Stone Highway across
Okay.
from the general store.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you could see the Springs Church and Ashwell Hall.
Oh, so that's what we're looking at is the Springs Church and Ashwell, the Springs Church
Right.
is on the right
Yes,
and Ashwell Hall is on the left there.
right there in the center, yeah.
Aha, okay.
And then also, Jackson Pollock used to ride past the house. Jackson Pollock used to come into my dad's shop, which was on the property of the house at that time, and ask for scraps of canvas.
Oh, to work on.
Yep, and he always said to my dad, "I'll bring you a painting," but he never did.
He never did. Well,
No.
that's too bad because I know he used to barter with paintings and some people did very well by,
Yeah,
by
this
that.
Dan Miller at the general store got one from me.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that story.
And that particular painting is now in Paris somewhere.
Yeah, great. It's too bad your dad never got one.
Yeah,
That would have been nice.
would have been very nice.
Yes, it would have been nice. And so de Kooning was also an artist.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
famous artist.
Yeah.
So he lived not too far from you.
He lived over across from Green River Cemetery.
And there was a huge artist colony when you were growing up, right?
It was.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what was that experience? I mean, did you interact with them a lot? Were they part of the community? Tell me what that was like. Or were you not even aware?
Jackson Pollock would come into the shop and I would scoot out as fast as I could. He just was a dirty, smelly old man to me.
Well, he was a heavy drinker,
He was.
and
yeah,
that was probably why.
probably.
Yeah.
But he never seemed to change his clothes. They always looked
Yeah.
filthy. But no, I do remember the artists. They got involved with the Springs Improvement Society. They did Fisherman's Fair.
Right.
Yeah, it was
So they were part of the community. They didn't
very much so.
didn't separate themselves, which is
No.
nice. Yeah.
And they still are today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a little bit different today than it was
little
then. I
bit.
mean, there were a lot of artists back then compared to the locals, I think, right, in the artist community.
No, I would say there were more locals back then.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking in terms of now, though. I think there was more.
I think
of
there
a-
are more artists now than there
now?
are local people.
Okay. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I loved watching the Pollock movie. With Springs
Right.
in it, and I've been to his house, and it's fascinating. He was a bit of a tortured soul,
Yes, he
which
was.
was sad. A lot of artists and geniuses are, I guess, people of great talent are
Right.
a bit tortured, but he was an interesting guy for sure. Tell me about this one.
That is spring school.
Yeah, it is the Springs School.
And that's what it looked like when I went there. There were 4 classrooms, and it went through 8th grade at that time. And then in 1950s, we had a polio epidemic, and there were students in Springs who got polio, and one girl particularly got very sick with polio, and she was in an iron lung
Mm-hmm.
and lived on Fireplace Road across from the school. At that time, they strung a not an internet, but a intercom wire across Pussy's Pond to her house. So while she was home in the iron lung, she could keep up with her
Oh,
classwork.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, my mother was a substitute teacher out here. She was a teacher, and she was home for raising the family for the most part, but she did a lot of subbing in the local schools, and Springs was her favorite school to sub in. She loved the Springs School. So,
Nice.
yeah, she always talked about how much she loved the Springs School. She loved getting called in to substitute there. This must be you
That's me.
in your Girl Scout glory.
My Girl Scout uniform, yeah.
And is that the Dodge House behind you there? No, that's the gas station? What is that?
Directly to the right, there is the Springs General Store.
Okay,
And
so,
the
and there was a
building
gas tank, there's a gas tank there, right?
over there,
Yeah.
yes. But the building to the right, to the left there that you can see is one of the houses on Fireplace Road.
Okay,
All that land was free and open.
yeah.
The farmers used to bring their cows down and pasture them in Pussy's Pond and around Accabonac Harbor in the summer. So it kept all the weeds and cedar trees and things from growing up.
So that was what the Springs General Store looked like at the time?
Yes.
So
Hasn't changed
Was it
much.
white?
It was.
Because now it's not white, right? Now isn't it shingle, just,
It's just shingles, yeah.
yeah. So it looks a little bit different, but.
Yeah. It's been around, building's been there since 1910.
Mm-hmm. I pick up grandkids at Springs School occasionally, and I always come around that way out to, by the Springs General Store to go head back up Accabonac Road to home. So it's a familiar place. Okay, let's see what this one is. This must be your dad?
That's my dad, yeah.
At work, hard at work?
One of my favorite pictures of him, yes, at work.
Mm.
He
The sewing machine.
did lots of sewing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so he's probably, or had at one point probably made most of the awnings and.
He did, yep.
What else?
And my brothers learned to do it, and I learned to
Sails?
do it, yeah.
Sails for sailboats he did, or?
Not sails.
No.
That
But
required,
the covers, maybe?
but the boat covers,
The
yeah.
boat covers, okay. Yeah, because so many people
Boat
use
cushions,
awnings out. Oh,
yeah.
boat cushions, sure. Yeah, awnings are very popular in East Hampton,
Yes,
right? In houses and stores, a lot of
Yep.
the stores have awnings out front, so he must have been very busy.
when I was growing up, he was the only awning company on the South Fork.
Yeah.
And Mills over in Greenport was his only
Oh,
competition.
wow. So he
But
was
now
busy.
there's several
Yeah.
that have moved into the area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did he make flags too, like boat flags, or
Not really, no.
just covers and,
Just boat covers and awnings.
that's so great, great picture. Okay, let's see what this one is. Oh, this is an interesting one.
That's a watercolor picture of clam pie, and it reminds me of my parents because my dad's shop was at home.
Mm-hmm.
If they got clams, my mother would say, "Come in and help me." So he would take a break from work and he'd come in and help her make clam pie or
Uh-huh.
apple pie, or they would do beach plum jelly together. They would can vegetables and pickles. So
Was
that
he the official clam opener?
yes.
Yeah, because my father was the official clam opener at my house.
Yeah.
He opened all the clams, put them out with,
So that's just a memory that I have of my parents that hangs in my kitchen. So
Oh,
they're with me all the
oh, that's
time.
nice.
Yeah.
And was this a kunkel? Mrs. Kunkel?
Grace Elliott.
Oh, no wonder. Yeah, that's a really nice one. She did wonderful work.
She did. I have a lot of her pieces.
Do you? Yeah, I wish I had a piece of hers, but yeah, I've never been able to get one. Now, this must be you
That's me,
and your husband.
my husband.
That's why you're not a king anymore.
Right.
So where'd your husband come from?
New Jersey.
Okay, and you met?
His mother and my mother's sister were nursing students together in Brooklyn. And my aunt lived next door to us. And because Doug's parents lived in New Jersey, they would, of course, everybody wants to come to the Hamptons, even back then.
Right.
So they would come out and spend a weekend or several other days. And so I knew Doug from the time we were about 5 or 6 years
No,
old.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh, and what year was this when you got married?
1964.
1964. Just babies. Babies, right?
We were babies, yes.
Okay, before we get to these two pictures, so tell me about your family.
I have two boys.
Mm-hmm.
One is retired from a California forest fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
That's a tough job.
It was, yeah.
And he lives out there still?
Um, no, he's moved to West Virginia now.
Okay. Never wanted to come back to Bonnet?
Can't afford to come back to Bonnet.
No, I think that's the problem now. Anybody who's left can't come back.
Right,
You know, those of us who had houses for a while have been able to stay, but
yeah,
very hard to come back.
very hard, yeah.
And your other one?
And my other son lives in Panama.
Oh,
He does construction and real estate down there.
fascinating. How'd he end up down there?
He went down for vacation and decided they liked the property, the land, so they bought a piece of property. And then he went through a divorce with his wife, and he decided to go to Panama, and his ex-wife stayed up here.
Okay,
So
he's in Panama.
he since has a Panamanian family and has developed
Wow.
business down there.
Okay, I have two pictures here that are familiar buildings
Mm-hmm.
that I want you to tell me about. These are the church,
Both churches.
called the Springs Chapel. Most people refer to it as the chapel, right?
Springs Chapel, right?
And then,
The one in
oh,
your,
I see, one is the original drawing, or,
the drawing is by Bob Budd,
okay,
and that's St. Peter's Chapel over on East Side.
right, St. Peter's. I'd forgotten about St. Peter's.
And when we were in grade school, they had what was called release time education.
Mhm.
And so every Tuesday afternoon, we'd get on the school bus, or if you went to the Catholic school, you got on a different school bus,
Mhm.
and they took us to the different churches for
Oh, for
Sunday school
for
or
school education.
school Christian education, yeah.
Interesting. And you're still involved with the Springs Chapel?
Springs Chapel, yes.
And what about St. Peter's? What goes on there? Who
St.
runs
Peter's
that?
belongs to St. Luke's,
Okay,
and I don't know whether it's open year-round. I know now that they do have, I think it's Saturday evening,
mm-hmm,
services there.
okay,
But the Springs Church is where I spent most of my time growing up,
sure.
and where I still spend most of my time.
Yeah, well, you live right there. I mean, you're right around the corner. And
Yes, my mother could stand on the corner and watch us, make sure we got to Sunday school.
Sunday school,
She
that's
did the
right.
same thing, would come out in the driveway and watch to make sure we got into school.
So now you mentioned that you had been volunteering at the food pantry, which is at the Springs Church, right?
Mhm.
The Springs Church has become a bit of a community center, right?
It is,
And then there's Ashwa Hall,
right.
which is another kind of community
Community
center.
center,
And they're right across from each other.
right.
What else?
And then across the street from Nashville Hall is the Parsons Anderson House, which is the Springs Community Library.
Okay, and then now the Dodge House, which is on the other side across,
Right,
was bought with CPF money, I understand, through the town.
right.
Do we know what they're gonna do with that house? That's one of my favorite spots in Springs. It's just beautiful there.
Still up in the air.
Still up in the
Lots
air.
of ideas and plans.
Because
so
it's just, the setting there is just so perfect with that house there and the open space
It
and the
is, yeah.
historic buildings right across. I just, it just says Springs to me. This is like the heart of Springs.
It
So I
is,
don't know
yeah.
what they're planning to do there, but hopefully they're gonna do something
Hopefully they do, yeah.
interesting with that property and preserve it and maybe have it an open museum or something. I don't know, but
Talked about doing student residence, either somebody maybe who's interested in art programs
Okay.
or in farming or
that would be interesting.
having a place for them to live and
Uh-huh.
then maintaining the house and program. But that's the town, and I guess still hasn't made any good decisions on that.
And you have some nice museums down there besides the Pollock Museum. You have the Lieber
The Lieber
Museum, which are both charming places
Oh my
and
gosh, it's
beautiful
wonderful, yeah.
look at Springs. There's a lot in Springs that people don't even realize
Right.
to do. And it's fun to go down and spend time there. And So tell me what, what have you not done that you'd like to do?
I'd like to do more traveling.
Yeah?
I have done some, but,
Have you been to Panama?
I've been to Panama several times,
It's hot down there.
It's ranges between 70 and 90 degrees on the average,
My father took us on a cruise once that went through the Panama Canal, and I remember it just would all of a sudden pour, right? All of a sudden, pouring rain and then stop.
Yep.
It was a very interesting
They
climate.
have the rainy season and then the dry season. Yeah.
Do your boys get to come and visit a lot, or?
They do. Actually, they were both here in September.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's nice. And they come at the same time, so they get to see each
They
other?
did, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they come at different times.
How many grandchildren do you have?
5.
Wow, that's great.
And
they
5 great-grandchildren.
5 great-grandchildren. Oh, my gosh. That's
Yeah.
really, what a blessing.
Yeah.
And you get to see them, I hope.
Not as much
Not
as
as
I'd
often
like
as you'd
to.
like, yeah.
I've got one great-grandchild that lives in Springs,
Oh, wonderful.
so I get to see her a lot.
Yeah, how old is she?
She's 4, yeah.
It's a great age.
It's
4
a
is a great
wonderful
age.
age, yeah.
So anything you'd like to see happen in Springs that hasn't happened, or in a way of preservation, or, some people would like to see some commercial development, some people would like to see certain things preserved. and-
Certainly would not like to see any commercial development. And there really isn't any room for commercial
There isn't much room
development.
anymore, no.
They have a business district, which is along Fort Pond Boulevard, but that's
Yeah,
where the general stores are. They're
Right.
grandfathered in, but that's about it.
and that, what used to be Jungle Pete's.
Yeah. It's a Springs Tavern.
Tavern.
Yeah.
I remember it as Jungle Pete's.
I do too.
That was, again, in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
People would have to drive way down into the woods to get to Jungle Pete's. I
Right.
guess that's why they called it Jungle Pete's, right? Because it was like being in the jungle,
Yeah.
but it's a great old spot. So anyway, I have a question I always ask my guests before they leave, and that is, it came from the Inside the Actor's Studio, which was a TV show with James Lipton, who interviewed famous people, and he had a series of questions at the end, and my favorite one was, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you get to the pearly gates?
Welcome. Job well done.
That's my favorite answer, and surprisingly, some people say very interesting things other than that, but I would say the same thing, yeah. Welcome home would be
Yeah.
really nice, so. Thank you so much, Deanna, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for giving us your time. And thank you to my sponsor, Wayland Filer Attorneys in Amagansett, and also to LTV and their wonderful staff here for making community access television available to the East End of Long Island. I hope you'll all tune in again soon to another episode of Let's Talk.